What's up guys, Infernape here. I'm sorry I haven't been uploading as much as I'd like to. It's just for unseen reasons, my internet went down. And it's taken them a while to send it out. Like, at first they said it was Wednesday, then they didn't send it, then they said it was going to send it Friday, but it didn't come, so now that I have it back, it's time to make another video. Today, we're going to do my 50 subscriber goal, and if you didn't already know, I said if we get to 50 subscribers, then I would say my own opinion of the most powerful Pokemon, not including legendaries or mega evolutions. So, that's what I'm going to do today. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below what you think is the most powerful Pokemon in, say, the normal, fire, or whatever. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think, what Pokemon I missed out. And just tell me, like, your opinion, what is the most powerful Pokemon of a certain type. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, first up, we have the normal type. It was definitely a pretty close call, but I think I've definitely come up with the best normal type Pokemon. And that is Slacking. Seriously, if you're not prepared for Slacking, it will wreck you before you can even say Blaziken use Brick Break. Seriously, Slacking has godlike stats. Let me read off its best stats on my phone. We have 150 HP, 160 attack power, 100 speed, and 100 defense. Like, that's actually pretty respectable for speed. Like, this Pokemon could probably wreck your entire team if you're not prepared for it. However, like with all Pokemon, there's one downside to power. And Slacking's disadvantage has to be its special ability called Taunt. If you didn't already know, the Taunt ability makes Slacking attack every other turn, which means it attacks once and it just relaxes, and then it attacks again, and so on and so on and so on. Like, if it didn't have that ability, it would wreck anybody. And I know this for a fact, because I remember watching this Pokemon XD Coliseum, where this guy called, I can't remember his name, but he had a Slacking and a Slowking, and Slowking managed to swap their abilities, so that way, Slacking could attack every single turn. And that's why Slacking is definitely the most powerful normal type Pokemon. Next up, we have the Fire type. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get lots of hate because of this, but I have to admit that this Pokemon is OP as hell, even though it's not in a like OU tier. And that is Infernape. Now, before any of you put in the comments, oh, you only put Infernape here because he's your favourite Pokemon of all time. Actually, no. I didn't put Infernape on here just because it's my favourite Pokemon of all time. I put Infernape here because it can wreck any Pokemon if you give it the right EVs and the right moveset. I know I've said this many times on this channel before, however, I'm going to mention it to the newbies. If you want a powerful Infernape, you're going to need to have the Jolly Nature, then max it out in attack, speed, and either a little bit in HP or either of the defenses, and then have its hidden ability Iron Fist, which powers up all punching attacks, and then give it the moves Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Muck Punch, and Swords Dance. And then have the Focus Sash on it, and you will wreck anybody that you can think of. Just start with Swords Dance, let it go down to the Focus Sash, and start sweeping. And that's how you can wreck anybody with an Infernape. Okay, next up we have the Water type. And now, I gotta say, this was fairly difficult for me, because I couldn't find too many powerful or Water type Pokemon that were either in OU or in Banned. However, I managed to find what I think is a very powerful Pokemon to use in competitive, a playthrough, and just in general. Like, it's a pretty powerful Pokemon. And that's why I had to put Toxapex here. Now, I know Toxapex has quite a few weaknesses, like Electric, Ground, and Psychic. However, I definitely think that Toxapex is a very powerful Pokemon. Like in a playthrough or competitive, since in competitive it's an overview, which it means overuse, which means it's a very good Pokemon to use in competitive. It's definitely very hard to find a Mareanie in the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Sun and Moon, but it's definitely worth it if you want to have a powerful water type on your team. I have struggled battling Toxapex in the games, and it's all because of one move, Baneful Bunker, which is its signature move. It's a little bit like Chestnut Spiky Shield, where it protects itself. However, if you make physical contact with Baneful Bunker, you will get poisoned, and that can wreck your team. And that's why I had to put Toxapex on this list. Alright, now for the electric type. Now this one was definitely a no-brainer once I saw it in OU, and that is Rotom Wash. Now I know Rotom Wash's design isn't much to sneeze at. However, it is an OU and it is a powerhouse in competitive because I've used it many times in the battle tree and it has wrecked lots of Pokemon. Now, our Rotom Wash has the ability called Levitate, which means it takes no damage from ground type moves, which means its only weakness is grass types. And since there are no really good grass types in the game, I definitely think that this Rotom could dominate anybody. Just give it the moves Thunderbolt, Hydro Pump, Will-O-Wisp and Hex. Then that way you can wreck any Pokemon that you can think of. And that's why I had to put Rotom Wash on this list. Okay, the next type we have is Grass type. Now, since there aren't many good Grass type Pokemon, I had to pick a Pokemon that I don't really like. However, I can't deny that it's a very powerful Pokemon. So say hello to Superior. Now, just like Infernape, Superior is only powerful with its hidden ability. Superior's hidden ability is called Contrary, which means say if you use a Leaf Storm attack, you know how it drops by a special attack drops by 2 stages. Well, Contrary makes it do the opposite effect. So instead of going a special attack going down by 2 stages, it goes up by 2 stages. So I definitely think Superior would pretty much sweep anybody that you can think of. If you want to make a competitive Superior, I recommend giving it the modest nature, maxing it out with special attack and speed, and then give it the moves Leaf Storm, Dragon Pulse, and Hidden Power Ice. And just those 3 moves alone could pretty much sweep all of your opponents. And that's why I had to put Superior as my Grass type Pokemon. Next up, we have the Ice type. Now, I definitely think that Ice is one of the weakest types in the entire game. However, there are some really good Ice type Pokemon, and this one is definitely one of them. And that is Weavile. Any game that Weavile is available in literally can dominate your entire playthrough. It's great in the games and in competitive and in the anime. Like, very few people have actually managed to sweep against a Weavile unless they use a fighting type. For competitive, all you need is the Adamant Nature on it, an EV trainer, and attack and speed. And then give it the moves Swords Dance, Ice Punch, Night Slash, and Aerial Ace. Then give it the Life Orb, and you can wreck any Pokemon in competitive, the Battle Maison, and the Battle Tree. And that's why Weavile had to be on this list. Next type is the Fighting type. Now, I gotta say, Fighting types are pretty good, but I definitely think one stands above all the others, and that is Blaziken. That's right, the original Fire Fighting type has got to be the most powerful fighting type above all others. Literally, Blaziken is in Ubers when, literally, without even a Mega Evolution, and that's because of its hidden ability, Speed Boost. If you don't already know, Speed Boost is a move that ups the user's speed if they manage to finish their attack. Like, say if you use Protect, its speed will go up. If you use a Blaziken, I recommend you giving it speed boost, so that way you can protect, speed goes up, bulk up, speed goes up. And keep doing that until it's at the speed and power is at an ideal distance, and just wreck. That's how you take down anybody with a Blaziken. Just do that and you'll sweep. And that's why Blaziken had to be here. Next up, we have the Poison type. Now, I gotta say, there aren't too many powerful Pokemon that are Poison type, but I did find one, and it's not it is an Ultra Beast, but since I decided not to do Legendaries or Megas, I thought I'd include it. So, definitely the most powerful Poison type is Naganadel. If I had to pick a word for Naganadel, I had to pick overpowered. That's the best way to describe it. Overpowered. Literally, stick up a few nasty plots, then sweep with Dragon Pulse or Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave. And then slap on a Flamethrower, and then you can pretty much cover all of its weaknesses. Literally, this thing is too powerful that they decided to stick it in Ubers. That's how powerful Naganadel is. And that's why I had to put it as my Poison type. Okay, next up we have the Ground type. Now this one was definitely an easy decision as soon as I saw it in OU, and that is Gliscor. Just like with a few other members, Gliscor is powerful with its hidden ability, which is Poison Heal, which allows it to heal itself when it's poisoned rather than reduce its HP. That means it can pretty much regain its health every turn, as long as you don't give it a different status condition like burn or paralysis. Give Gliscor the Adamant or Jolly nature and max out with speed, attack, and a bit in defense. Or maybe mix it up a little, I know that most people have. And then give it the moves Earthquake, Swords Dance, Facade, and Roost. And that way, you can dominate any Pokemon that you can find on the field. And that's why I had to put Gliscor on this list. Okay, next up we have the Flying type. Now this one was definitely very difficult, because most of the flying types that are very good are usually legendary Pokemon. However, I think I found the one that isn't a legendary and still very powerful, and that is Togekiss. Now, Togekiss definitely became more powerful when it became a fairy type, which means it has more access to moves, and if you give it the right nature, EVs, and attacks, you can eliminate anybody on the field. If you want a great Togekiss, give it the modest nature, then max it out in special attack and speed and either of the defenses, or maybe a little bit in HP, and then give it the moves Thunder Wave, Air Slash, and Dazzling Gleam. And the fourth move is up to you. But those three moves alone can wreck you, and that's why Togekiss had to be on this list. Okay, next up we have the Psychic type. Now, I definitely think that there are a few good Psychic types, like Alakazam is alright, but it's only good with its Mega Evolution, and I can't include Mega Evolutions in this video. So, I decided to do a Psychic type that's actually pretty good and it didn't have a Mega Evolution, mainly back in Gen 5, and that is Metagross. That's right, regular Metagross used to be an OU. And I can see why. It's a very powerful Pokemon. Like, not just in competitive, but it's also really powerful in the anime as well. Like, Metagross has given Ash a run for his money. Like, every time that Ash has gone up against a Metagross, he did struggle quite a bit. Like, Tyson's Metagross, it knocked out 2 of his Pokemon. And when he battled in the Battle Tower and battled Annabelle, that Metagross pretty much took down his most powerful Pokemon from the Kanto region, which was his Pikachu and his Tauros. I'm going to do a moveset for Gen 5, since that's when Metagross really shone. So, if you really want to make a good Metagross for Generation 5, I recommend giving it either the Jolly or the Adamant nature, then max it out with attack and speed, and maybe a little bit in either of the defenses, and then give it the moves Agility, Meteor Mash, Bullet Punch, and Earthquake. Or if you want to, you can switch Bullet Punch for Zen Headbutt. That will be anybody's downfall. And that's why Metagross had to be on this list. Next up, we have the Bug type. Now, Bug types aren't usually that powerful unless they have a good hidden ability or maybe even a Mega Evolution. However, I have found an amazing Bug type that's in OU and it's not a Legendary or a Mega, and that is Volcarona. I love Volcarona. Like, it is just not only a great designed Pokemon, but a powerful one at that. Like, not even that, I even found a shiny Larvesta on my first turn on Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I wasn't even hunting for it. Like, then it immediately become one of my favourite Pokemon. For a great Volcarona, I definitely recommend the Modest Nature and max it out with Special Attack and Speed and maybe in either of the defenses. And then give it the moves Fiery Dance, Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz, and Giga Drain. That moveset is extremely deadly. I can't think of too many Pokemon that can actually survive that. And that's why I had to put Volcarona on the list. Next up, we have the Rock type. Now, not many Rock types are that powerful, considering there's lots of counters for it, like Water, Grass, and Ground types. However, I definitely think I've found an amazing Rock type, and that is Tyranitar. Oh boy, do I love Tyranitar. Like, I have used it in the Battle Maison or the Battle Tree, and it has wrecked lots of opponents without even using its Mega Evolution. Without its Mega, it's still in OU, the best format for the entire competitive franchise. If you want a great Tyranitar, I recommend giving it the Adamant nature, then max it out in attack, defense, and maybe in a little bit in special defense. And then give it the moves Stone Edge, Crunch, Dragon Dance, and whatever moveset you want to add to it. Like, those three movesets can wreck all of the Pokemon that are on the field. And that's why Tyranitar had to be here. Next up, we have the Ghost type. Now, Ghost types are, how do I put it, not that great, but I think I have found a good one with this one. Say hello to Blacephalon. Blacephalon has to be a pretty good Ultra Beast in my own opinion. Like, it's just a really good Ultra Beast. It's a great Pokemon. Has great special attack stats, and it has a great signature move, which is Mind Blown. Like, I know that's not a great name for it. Like, they could have come up with something better. However, it is still an amazing attack. For a great moveset with Blacephalon, I recommend giving it the Modest nature and EV train it in special attack, speed, and either of the defenses. And then give it the moveset Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, Calm Mind, and Substitute, and whack on the Ghostian Z. That will annihilate lots of Pokemon. And that's why Blacephalon had to be here. Next up, we have the Dragon type. Now, Dragon type, they're really powerful. Like, most of them are in OU, and some of them even banned. Some of them are even legendary Pokemon. However, I definitely think this one is the best one. And that is Garchomp. I love Garchomp. It is my favourite pseudo-legendary of all time. Like, I haven't found a better one than Garchomp. It's just an amazing pseudo-legendary Pokemon. Like, it's badass, it's cool, and it wrecks in competitive and in a playthrough. What's not to love? For a great Garchomp in competitive, I definitely think you need to have its rough skin ability, then whack on a Rocky helmet, then EV train it in attack, speed, and a little bit in HP, and also give it the jolly nature. And then give it the moves Swords Dance, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and Iron Head. That will cover all of its weaknesses, and if it gets attacked physically, it'll take rough skin damage and Rocky Head damage, and that can help you in the long run. And that's why I put Garchomp on the list. Next up, we have the Dark type, or as the Japanese say, the Evil type. Now, picking a powerful Dark type Pokemon was pretty challenging, but I think I found a great Dark type Pokemon, and that is Greninja. Whether it has the protein ability or the battle bond ability, this thing will destroy you with very, very little effort. And not only that, it's the best Pokemon to use when you're playing through a Carlos game. Like, it's just an amazing Pokemon. I don't know why people don't like it. Like, I know a few people that hate it for some reason, but I don't see what's not to love. There are many, many, many ways to use a Greninja, but my personal favourite is using the Battle Bond. Then have the Modest Nature and EV train it in special attack and speed. And then give it the Life Orb, and then give it the moves Water Shuriken, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump. That will wreck anyone. Like, fun fact, I've used this Greninja in a play against this battle against another person, and he was using a full 6 team of Rayquaza, and my Greninja swept through them all. Like, all 6 of them got destroyed by my Battle Bond Greninja, and that's why I had to put it on this list. For the second to last, we have the Steel type. Oh boy, I knew this was going to happen, and as soon as I saw the Steel type, I already had this Pokemon planned before, or I even made this list. Like, it's just an amazing Pokemon, and that is Aegislash. If you go up against an Aegislash, that's it, you lose, because this thing is overpowered as hell. Like, I even came across a shiny Honedge using the Masuda method, even though I wasn't shiny hunting for one. I was just trying to get one with an adamant nature. And this thing is indestructible in either a playthrough or in competitive. For a great Aegislash, I recommend giving it the adamant nature, then EV train it in attack and defense, and maybe a little bit in special defense. And then give it the moves King's Shield, Swords Dance, Shadow Sneak, and Sacred Sword. This will destroy you in competitive. Like, it's even bad in competitive, so use it in the Battle Maison or even in the Battle Tree. This thing will wreck anybody, and that's why I had to put Aegislash on the list. Okay, the last type is the Fairy type. Now, I gotta say, it was fairly difficult to place a Fairy type in my list because there aren't many of them, and they're not really in OU or anything great. But I think I have found a great Fairy type Pokemon, and that is Mimikyu. I have swept through many battles in the Battle Tree thanks to Mimikyu. And I definitely think that you should use it in the Battle Maison, so that way you can actually deal some major damage. For a great Mimikyu in competitive, I recommend giving it the Jolly Nature and EV training it in speed, attack, and either of the defenses. And then give it the Lumberry. So that way it can't lose its physical attack if it gets a burn effect. Then give it the moves Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, Play Rough, and Swords Dance. That way it can put a hole in any Pokemon, and that's why Mimikyu is on the list. And there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did, and let me know what Pokemon you think I missed out, and I hope that you agree with some of the Pokemon that I put on the list. Before I go, I thought I'd mention my next subscriber video. I'm going to do a food challenge at this local restaurant that's near me. So if you want me to do that, you have to get me 100 subscribers. I know it's a pretty difficult challenge, so that's why I want you to share my channel to as many people as you know. And so that way, you can see me doing an insane food challenge. I'm not going to reveal it, but I can say it is extremely difficult. If you enjoyed the video as much as I did, be sure to give it a massive thumbs up, comment down below, share this video with a friend, and if you're new, subscribe to my channel to be an Inferno today. Okay, that's all from me, so until the next time, this is Infernape, signing off. Bye!